Hey, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from Westgate Luxury Condos, just a field goal kick away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. Three keys to the game. I know Alabama's a 40-point favorite, but stay with me as I go over a couple keys to this football game in week one. Number one, I think Alabama has to run the football effectively. Everyone's talking about the quarterback. Can you imagine if Alabama just comes out, sticks their hand into the jar of running backs, and just runs all over Middle Tennessee? I think it would be quite the story in college football, honestly. I mean, all the backs are healthy. You heard from Jace. Roy Dale's been shining. Jam Miller, Justice Haynes. Get the freshmen sprinkled in there as well. Keep people guessing going into that week two contest against the Texas Longhorns. Don't really need to throw it that much, right? When you have an offensive line that wants to run the damn ball. You have your big tackles, your guards have been doing well, the offensive line has come together. Why not you just run the football in week one? I think that could be a monumental key to this game, is Alabama's ability to run the football with all the running backs and the offensive line that they have. I think that's critical going into this game. The second point is be aggressive in the secondary. Coach Saban mentioned this. Middle Tennessee has an air raid style attack. And he said that that is going to create some opportunities for the defense to be in man coverage situations. Well, when you're in man coverage, you have to be aggressive. You can't be beat. You can't get beat over the top. Giving up stuff underneath is fine, but you have to be aggressive. Come with it. Wrap up. Force turnovers. And when you're in those situations, you have to win. You cannot lose a man-to-man situation. So be aggressive. I want to see those corners come with it in man situations. And I think that's going to prep them for week two against the Texas Longhorns. So be aggressive, play physical in the secondary. Number three, you guys are going to love this. Catch the football. Look, Alabama doesn't have to be super dynamic throwing the football this coming Saturday against Middle Tennessee, in my opinion. I think it would be also interesting to see how Tommy Rees utilizes the tight ends. But the point is, you got to catch the football. Anytime the ball is up in the air, receiver has to come down with it. No drops. Eliminate those tiny mental mistakes that Alabama has shown over the last season or so. I think catching the football, it's easy, right? We've all done it in the backyard. No reason that these wide receivers who are 4 and 5 stars with the tight ends should have any drops this coming Saturday. We're going to be watching that as one of our key factors, not only going into week one, but as the season continues. Is that going to be a problem? I really hope it isn't. A couple additional items of note. Now, it's always interesting to see where the offensive coordinator is, where the defensive coordinator is, and what that means is, are they up in the box or are they down in the field? Well, for the 2023 season, offensive coordinator Tommy Rees will be up in the box along with Kevin Still, who's a defensive coordinator. So who's down on the field with coach? Well, you got Robert Gillespie, who coaches the running backs, Coleman Hutzler, who coaches tight ends and special teams, T-Rob, who coaches the secondary, Holman Wiggins with the wide receivers, and Eric Wolford, who coaches the offensive linemen. Now, a bit of recruiting news broke on Tuesday. Jay Lindsey, who's a tight end out of Butler, Alabama, decommitted from Mississippi State a couple nights ago, committed to the Alabama Crimson Tide. 6'5", 234 pounds. Him and Caleb Odom are your tight ends out of that class of 2024. Okay, you guys ready for some predictions for this weekend? Here we go. So I predict that Jalen Milroe throws for over 150 yards. Do you agree with that? Let me know what you think inside the comment box. I predict that Alabama rushes for over 225 yards in this game collectively as a team. I predict that Alabama forces at least 2 turnovers. Chris Broswell, Dallas Turner, those guys got to bring the heat, right? Heard from Chris Broswell today, and he said he wants to get after the quarterback. You got the secondary to do it. I think Alabama comes up with 2 turnovers. I predict that Alabama will also have 5 quarterback sacks. Jaheim Otis, Dallas Turner, Chris Broswell, maybe even some pressure up the middle. I predict that Will Reichert has a field goal, maybe 2, that are deep, 45 yards plus. And I predict, here's a big one for special teams, I predict that Kool-Aid, if he has an opportunity, he's going to have plenty on Saturday, returns a punt to the house for a touchdown. And my game score, Alabama's favored by 40 points. Vegas rarely misses. Alabama 49, Middle Tennessee 6. That's my game score prediction. Let me know your game score prediction inside the comment box. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from Westgate Luxury Condos, just a field goal kick away from Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll see you guys soon right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We appreciate you guys more than you know.
go ahead and get queued up for Alabama. The Crimson Tide will host Middle Tennessee on Saturday at 6:30 Central on SEC Network. To ask a question of Coach Saban, please press 10 on your telephone's keypad now. I think we have Coach on the line. So, Coach, while we wait on those questions, if you could take a moment to comment on your team as you enter the season opener on Saturday.
Right. Well, I think everybody's anxious to play a first game. I think that, the preparation in fall camp has been good. The players have had a really good attitude. I think that, now they're tired of practicing and it's time to turn their attention to playing a game. And the opportunity is to see what kind of identity this team can sort of create for itself. And, Middle Tennessee won 8 games last year. They beat Miami, San Diego State. So, this is always something that's a challenge in terms of preparing for the first game and seeing where you're at. So we're looking forward to it.
For questions for Coach, please press 10, and we'll begin with David Newton of ESPN.com.
Coach, I wanted to take you back to a season opener a few years ago and ask you, what did you see in Bryce Young in his first start for you that you feel will carry over to the NFL for his first start?
Well, Bryce is a really bright guy, and he's a great preparer for, games. He's got a lot of pride in performance. So, I'm sure he'll do everything that he can with his coaches to try to get ready to execute and do things the way he needs to do them to have success and for his team to have success. That's what he always did here, and I'm sure it'll be no different there. It's a little faster game, so, that's something that he'll have to get into. But, experience is, nothing more than accumulation of mistakes that you make and lessons that you learn. And he always did a good job of being able to, move forward from all those things. So I'm sure he'll continue to do that as he develops a career in the NFL.
And what do you think are reasonable expectations for him in his first season?
I'm not an expectations guy. That's kind of up to you all. He's going to try to play the best that he can. We hope that he plays the best that he can and that he can play well enough to help the team be successful, and I'm sure that's the goal he has as well.
Thank you very much.
Next is Ryan Hunt of AP and Kelly Show.
Coach Saban, you've led teams to national championships and had consistent success. Could you highlight a key principle or philosophy that sets the foundation for building a winning football program?
Well, I think first of all, you got to have good players, but secondly, you got to have the right kind of culture in your organization when it comes to not only what you want to accomplish, but everybody realizing, what it entails to accomplish it and making a commitment to do things at the standard and the level you need to do them on a consistent basis. And it's not easy. It's hard, but everybody's got to buy into it. So I think culture of, develops discipline, mental toughness, perseverance, ability to overcome adversity, pride in performance. All those things are, critical to the kind of intangibles that you need on your teams to be successful. And that's the culture that we've consistently tried to create here. Sometimes we've done a little better than others.
Thank you, Coach.
Next, we'll go to Michael Casagrande of AL.com.
Yeah, just wonder what you thought about the possible impact of the new clock rules this year.
I don't think they're going to have a tremendous impact. The clock not stopping on the first down is not going to be a huge thing, and I don't think the timeout rules they could have some impact on the game at the end of the game, but everybody understands what they are, so I don't really think it's significant. I do think that, when you get up in the 80s and 90s in terms of number of plays that you play in a game and how long the game becomes for the players, is, probably something that we need to continue to evaluate.
How we doing today? Good. Well, it's like I talked to the other day about, creating an identity as a team. Everybody wants to be special. everybody wants to be extraordinary. Everybody wants to win. I mean, you could ask any team in the country, do you want to be number one? And everybody would raise their hand. But are you willing to do all the things you need to do to accomplish that? Get out of your comfort zone. Be accountable. Have the discipline to do things day in and day out, play in and play out. That will make you be able to accomplish and do things at a high level. And this would be true no matter what you do. And at this point, we don't have a lot of practice left, but we have a lot of opportunity to get a lot of mental practice, which will enhance your preparation in terms of going out there and being able to execute, have confidence, not make mental errors, and everybody be accountable to each other and create great team chemistry, which will be a real starting point of trying to create the kind of identity that would like to create. So every team that you play creates lots of challenges in terms of the way you technically have to prepare, and they all have players who can make plays, so it's up to us to control what we do in terms of how we play and the focus that we have in terms of how we want to go out and execute together as a group.
Start here with Charlie.
Hey, Coach. What kind of progress have you seen from Ty Simpson from the spring until now leading up to game?
Ty has, done a really good job. I think, all the quarterbacks have made significant improvement. I think Ty has made improvement. I think, one of the hardest things to not get involved with is to be outcome oriented and, to show your emotions when, things don't go exactly like you'd want them to. And, that's one of the things that I think has helped all of our quarterbacks, especially Ty, improve on. Mistakes are opportunities to learn, get better, grow, and, not get disappointed or frustrated in terms of how it affects the next play. And that's something that he's done a really good job of, and I think it's impacted his execution in a really positive way.
Up front here with Chase.
How has Danny Lewis Jr. looked at tight end, and do you see him more as a flex out type tight end or more of a traditional Y type?
He's probably more of a traditional Y type, although, we've got, 4 or 5 tight ends that we think can provide some kind of, ability to contribute in their own way to what we can do, run or pass. So, but Danny is more the traditional inline guy, but they all play both positions, and he'll have some opportunity to do that as well.
Nick Kelly.
In what ways have you seen leadership from Deontay Lawson through this fall camp?
I think, Deontay's done a really, really good job. He's kind of taken over the signal caller duties for which I think is, a huge responsibility, but yet something that is probably the most important thing, especially for the front seven in terms of alignment, adjustment, calls that need to get made, whether you're pressuring and getting lined up the right way to play, whether it's to or away from the back. And a lot of guys, they're a little apprehensive about taking on that responsibility, and he's very confident in it. He's done a great job of it. He's played really well, set a great example in terms of how he practices, how he plays, how he communicates, and I think that's been, a significant improvement in how we played up front on defense, and it'll be important that we can continue that throughout the season.
What effect does the team's leadership council have on building that team identity?
It's probably too early to tell. I like, as I've said in here before, some of the guys on the team in terms of being leaders, impacting other players, sort of trying to get people to adhere to the standard of how we'd like to do things, whether it's practice, meetings, whatever. But, that's a huge responsibility, and not everybody's up for it, but I like some of the guys that we have this year that are trying to do it, and they've done a pretty good job of it. But you never know what the impact of all these things are until you start playing games. And even when you start playing games, you don't know how it's going to sustain itself throughout the season. So these kind of questions are something that are better answered, at the end of the year, not the beginning.
Coach, I want to ask about Malachi Moore. Adversity throughout his time here, but do you see him as one of the leaders going into this year on the defensive side?
Yeah, he's been really good. He's smart, bright, he's got a lot of experience, can play multiple positions. Is a really good communicator, which is one of the things that we've been harping on with the guys in the back end, because that's just like the offensive line. Everybody's got to be on the same page on how we're covering people, what we're doing, how we're adjusting. So communication is really important. Confidence to communicate is important, and Malachi is probably, the best guy on the team that we have to do that right now, but we need to get more guys to be able to communicate. But he's done a really, really good job in multiple positions.
Back middle with Cody.
I know we've asked you earlier this year about the speakers that you brought in to talk to the players, but I noticed that you sat front row each time the speaker was in to talk to the team. What did you learn specifically from everybody that came in to speak?
I learned something from everybody. I think we had a lot of really, really good speakers, and I think mostly everybody is trying to get people to understand how they can elevate themselves, elevate their game, elevate whatever it is they want to accomplish and what they want to do, but not really be depending on somebody else to motivate you to do it. We all get affected by external factors and some things that we can't control. So is that your motivation? Does it come from some place outside of you? Or is it just because I want to be the best at what I do and I'm willing to work and invest the time to be able to be the best version of myself? Does that come from within me? Am I driven to do that? I think that's the message I hope that every player on the team actually can hear, because we always, how many times somebody says something bad about you and all of a sudden you're motivated? Well, that's an external factor. You get behind in a game and you're motivated. Well, that's an external factor. The scoreboard, we're winning in the game and you let down. That's an external factor. So we're all affected by those things, but the key to the drill is to not be affected by any of that stuff. The guy you're playing against, I'm playing against All-American this week, so I'm really going to be jacked up to play the best I can play and play a great game. And I'm going to say to the guy, why didn't you play that way last week? If you're capable of being that good, why aren't you that good all the time? So that's kind of what I get out of what all the great people who have accomplished great things, they've all done it because of that, not because of some external factor that gets them to want to do it.
Two more, we'll go to Joe.
Coach, eliminating penalties has been a significant focus for your defense so far in the offseason. Going into the game on Saturday, do you feel like you've made significant progress in those areas?
Well, eliminating penalties has been something for our entire team. We got way too many penalties last year. We got lots of penalties on the line of scrimmage. We got a lot of penalties on offense on the line of scrimmage, a lot of pre-snap penalties, which those are, sort of lack of discipline things. So we've tried to do things in practice to get guys to play with more discipline, to watch the ball, not jump off sides, not have illegal formations, have better communication with the quarterback so we don't have false starts. And I think we made some progress in those areas. Every day we track every penalty. And if anybody got more than one penalty, their whole group is affected in some way. And I point out the fact that this guy got more than one penalty today. And so we'll see if it works, but heaven knows that's something that we have paid great attention to. And sometimes you wonder, if you pay so much attention to something, is that really helping it or hurting it? I don't know. If you tell somebody they're not very tough enough, then they start thinking they're not very tough. So hopefully we're not telling anybody that, and we're telling everybody they can be disciplined enough to not get penalties.
I'm going to finish up here with Oscar.
Thank you. Hello, Coach. Nice to see you again. Could you talk a little about the values we learn in football we apply in ordinary life day by day? Thanks so much. Gracias.
Yeah, well, I think everything I've talked about here today is something that can help you be successful in life. you have goals and aspirations for what you want to accomplish and do, and then you got to have an awareness of what does it take to do that? What does it entail for you to be able to accomplish these things? So that's what I call the process, definition of what you have to do to accomplish the goals that you have. And are you willing to do it? Are you willing to do those things? Do you have the discipline to execute it every day? So that would be true if in anything that you chose to do. And then there's work ethic, perseverance, ability to overcome adversity, pride in performance. You know, all these things are common things that we talk about in athletics, but it's the same thing if you wanted to be the president of the company or, but again, what motivates you to do that? Is it coming from within you, or did somebody tell you you couldn't do it, so now all of a sudden you're motivated to do it? So it's basically who you are. And I think everybody wants to do well. Everybody would like to be successful. Everybody's not willing to do the things you need to do to be successful. You know, we had one speaker come here and showed the biggest tiger I've ever seen. Took up the whole screen. And he said, everybody wants to be the beast, but everybody don't want to do what the beast do. So if you want to be the beast, you got to do what the beast do. All right, thanks.
But somebody has to say it. Dear Alabama football players, this is what everybody in the college football world feels and thinks about Alabama as of August 29th, 2023. They don't believe in Alabama. They don't believe in the standard. They think that Nick Saban has lost his fastball. They don't believe in any of the quarterbacks listed on the roster, whether it's Jalen Milroe, Ty Simpson, Tyler Buckner, Dylan Lonergan, whoever. They don't believe that Alabama still has what it takes to overtake the college football mountain. They feel that Alabama is vulnerable. Teams that once feared Alabama, LSU, Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas A&M, those teams don't have fear that when they step out onto the field with Alabama that they're going to get blown off. They feel that they can compete with you. They feel that they are at the same level as Alabama. They don't believe in the standard one bit. And I'll tell you what, there's a team east of Tuscaloosa in Athens, Georgia, that doesn't even look at Alabama as a threat anymore. I went to Nashville for SEC Media Days. Kirby Smart didn't want to even acknowledge Alabama, had nothing to do with Alabama, said that he didn't even remember when he was here in Tuscaloosa winning the national championships. They are so far removed and feel that they are so far removed from college football, from anything else, that nobody can touch them, including you, Alabama. There's teams that are predicting Notre Dame, Florida State in the college football playoffs. Nobody respects Alabama like they once did. When I first moved here in 2017, people feared Alabama. Everybody in the neighborhood that I live in didn't even have high interest in the game because they knew that Alabama and the standard would blow whoever they were playing off the map. Now they're curious to see if Nick Saban still has his fastball, if Alabama still has it. They don't believe in you. And look, as I said at the beginning of this monologue, I understand what it takes to get to this level, what it takes to play at this level. I don't feel like this personally, but the rest of the college football world believes that Alabama football isn't the Alabama football that it once was. Fam, what's up? What's up? Kyle Henderson, Bama football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You guys ready? It's game week. We made it, right? My goodness. Felt like it took forever to get here. Call line is open. 205-850-1994 is a call-in line. Man, looks like I'm wearing a tuxedo or something, man. That white is really popping. But the call-in line is open. And it's game week. And look, I put together that monologue because I feel that that's the rest of the world of college football. And yeah, I get it. There's some people that out there that still believe in the product. And most importantly, the coaches do. Alabama is ranked third in the coaches poll. The coaches absolutely know who the GOAT is, right? I mean, half of them are under his coaching tree. Call line is open, 205-850-1994. Heard from Coach Saban tonight. I saw inside the comment box on Coach Saban's video, a gentleman said, my son is 5 years old and I'm saving all these videos to show him when he gets older so he can understand the greatness. It's really not a bad idea. Some of the things that Saban says, like the back end, the reporter from Mexico City, he's talking about leadership and what goes into it, right? Like Coach Saban for president. Man, everything about him, right? Look, this is a great stat right here. I saw 14 out of the top 100 players NFL are Bama. Yeah, I mean, it's almost 20%. It's like Bama has built the NFL. When you're watching the NFL on Sunday, you need almost like your own Alabama channel. Try tracking everybody in the NFL from Alabama. You can't. Finally, the 49ers drafted someone from Alabama, which is Cam Latu, who caught a touchdown pass. Going into this first game, Alabama is a 40-point favorite. So all this quarterback talk and everything that we've been talking about regarding the quarterbacks, look, Vegas never misses. If you look at the lines of college football, Vegas is spot on. They know what is going to take place this weekend. I think we all do. And I get it. You can say it's like, disrespect to Middle Tennessee or whatever it is. The truth of the matter is Alabama lost 2 games by a total of 4 points. They reloaded at some positions. Jace comes back on the offensive side. But I was thinking about it today, and somebody who doesn't follow Alabama as closely as all of you, they text me and they were like, hey, how's Alabama looking? And you know what the first thing I went to was Alabama's offensive line. And I was thinking about this. I feel so much more confident in Alabama's offensive line at this point of the season as compared to last year. I have a lot of confidence in J.C. Latham. I have a lot of confidence in the freshman Caden Proctor. I love Seth McLaughlin. I think he kind of reminds me of Landon Dickerson just a little bit. I don't know who they're going to play at guard, if it's going to be Darian Dalcourt, but for sure it's going to be Tyler Booker. What's up, Dustin? I see you inside the comment box. And the thing about it is Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham, I think those two of the best offensive linemen in the entire SEC. Honestly, I really do. What's up? I see you coming in from Chelsea, Alabama. By the way, I was just in Chelsea, Alabama a couple weeks ago as Northridge played up in Chelsea during a jamboree. I love that high school football stadium. Got our first caller on. We'll take it in just a minute. But that's what I was saying is, like, I feel confident about the offensive line play going into this season. There are question marks at the receivers and at the quarterback position, but we know that the state of the program on the offensive side of the ball, that Alabama is in good hands at the running back position. As Coach Shawn said, you can reach your hand in a jar and pull out any of the running backs. Any of them are going to perform at a very high level. Offensive line is solid. I like the tight ends. Coach Saban was asked tonight about Danny Lewis. Thankfully, I've been talking about Danny Lewis all fall camp. Got to get him the football. And I think that Tommy Rees is going to be able to get the tight ends the football this year. I really do. I'm really excited about his offensive schematic system using the tight ends. I'm going to be having that under a microscope. First call. Let's get it going. Here we go. It is, you know who this is. No introduction is needed. Coach, what's up, man? Coach Shawn, you're on the mic, man. What's going on?
What's up, Cal? How you doing, bro?
Well, first of all, can everybody give me a thumb? Can you guys hear Coach Shawn? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, Coach Shawn.
Can you hear me?
Hold on. Let's see if everybody else can hear me. Can you guys hear Coach Shawn? Coach, what's up, man? Give me a sound check. You're batting leadoff.
Testing. Coach Shawn is here. Can you guys hear me?
Coach Shawn is here. Loud and clear. Coach, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to the party. We made it to the college football season. It's Wednesday night. Just a couple more days and we got college football. What's on your mind, Coach?
Man, just excited. Anxious to see what these guys look like the first game. I know it's MTSU. We all understand. But I want to see the aggressiveness. I want to see how the team come out. I want to see how these guys react. I want to see the crowd. That's what I want to see. I want to see the fans. I want to see the enthusiasm. That's what I want to see. We all understand what the game is. We all understand what's next week. But I want to see this tune up. I want to see the team come out and play crisp. I want to see the domination of the offensive line. I want to see us run the ball. I want to see the tight ends get the ball. Like you said, Danny Lewis, I want to see those small things. I don't want to see us rush 3 and drop 8. I don't want to see us give up 20 points to this team. We're going to have an opportunity to rush the passer against this team. They like to throw the ball around the field. I want to see our pass rushers get after the quarterback. I want to see a couple of sacks. I just want to see total domination, man. I want to see us come out and play Bama football and send a message to the world. Even though it's MTSU, I want us to go out and not have a USC moment and a San Jose moment and let them score practically 30 points on us. No. I want us to come out and play Alabama football and dominate every facet of this game. That's what I want to see in a nutshell.
On the line with Coach Shawn calling out of Huntsville. Appreciate you guys hitting the thumbs up. I think we got like 50 likes inside the comment box, but it's funny because we only have 146 people in here. So get the thumbs up. I have the Venmo thumbtack to the top of the link. I appreciate all your guys' support. You can hit the join button at the bottom of this video to become a member, a fan funder of this YouTube channel. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football. If you don't know now, you know. Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys. All fall camp, the coverage is not going to stop. One of the things that I really wanted to work on in my craft was consistency. I hope you guys have seen that consistency. You guys deserve the best coverage. That's why I dress up. That's why I go to campus and report. Could I just sit here in my place and just kind of report? I guess so, but it feels good to like be at the stadium. It feels good to talk to you guys at the stadium from Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's like, I don't know, it feels good. I'm just so happy to be back. Hey, Coach, when we look to this game, look, everybody's going to overlook Middle Tennessee, and it's kind of the focus on Alabama. I get it. When we switch to the defensive side of the ball, it's the air raid attack from Middle Tennessee. This presents some good opportunities for Alabama's, I guess you could say, young secondary. I know Kool-Aid's back there, Malachi, those guys are definitely vets, but you're going to be put in some man situations because of the fact that they're going to spread them out. I said in one of my keys to the game, you got to be aggressive in the secondary. How do you think the pass rush is going to allow Alabama's secondary to play aggressive this coming Saturday?
I think Coach Steele is going to play a lot of man coverage. I think sometimes, obviously, we'll go to zone. Sometimes we'll pattern match. But for the most part, I think we'll play man. I think Kool-Aid, I think they're going to throw at Kool-Aid. I really do. I think this first game, they're not going to back away from him. Obviously, the cornerback opposite in the star will get a lot of work. But I think this quarterback is going to at least try Kool-Aid a few times. I would. First game of the season. Let's see if he's still on his P's and Q's. I think the secondary is going to have an opportunity to make a lot of plays in this game. These guys throw the ball around. I want to see us dominate up front, man. I don't want this guy to have time to do anything. I want to see if Kevin Steele attack this guy. You know, the secondary is going to have a lot of opportunities in this game. These guys brought in a lot of transfer running backs, so they're going to try to mix it up. They run a lot of option read. So it's going to be interesting, man. I want to see our defense just do what they do, man. I think we play sound. Secondary play sound, we'll be just fine. These guys will come out and try to score some points. Remember now, these guys did beat Miami. They had a different quarterback last year, but the majority of that defense is back, and they beat Miami. I know, to some that might not be saying much, but to go into Miami, a Power 5 school, and do them the way they did them, we can't take this school lightly. It's still football. We can't just roll our helmet out there and expect everybody to lay down. It seemed like we had a little bit of that last year. We need to come out and remember that the whole world is doubting us. The whole world is talking about how we fell off. The whole world. They tried to give us some love on the College Game Day show, but I didn't want to hear that. I didn't want to hear it. I want them to keep that same energy. I want to hear them talk about how bad we are, how Coach Saban's lost it. All these wonderful little trinkets. I want them to keep that in their back pocket because we damn sure will. So that's what I want to see. Coach, I want to see them come out, remember that the world is watching, and show everybody who we are.
I have a question, Coach, and we'll get to our next callers in just a second. I see you in the call queue. Got an 850 and a 309. You guys are next on deck. You also have a line open, so call-in line number. We'll put that on the screen in just a second. You can put it at the ticker at the bottom of the screen. Coach, which players are you watching this coming Saturday that you kind of have your eye on a little bit that you want to see him perform now that we've gotten to an actual game?
For me, on the defensive side of the ball, I want to see Trez Marshall. You know, I've been on Trez Marshall for a long time. It's been a while since we had a real thumper at middle linebacker. My eyes are on Trez Marshall on the defensive side of the ball. I've seen Terry Young. I've got faith in Terry Young. I know what he's going to do. Trez Marshall is who I want to see. That linebacker position for us in the defense that we run is absolutely critical. So I've seen Deontay Lawson, so I want to see Trez Marshall come out. He transferred in from Georgia. I want him to make his name known Saturday. So I'm looking for Trez on the defensive side of the ball, and on the offensive side of the ball, I'm looking for Malik Benson, man. I want to see Malik Benson step up. I want to see my boy Roydell step up. I want to see Malik Benson specifically step up and put his foot down and become that receiver. Malik Benson is extremely talented, man, extremely talented. I hope that they give him some opportunities deep. And those are two guys I'm watching, man. I'm watching Malik Benson. I want to see what he does, and Trez Marshall on the defensive side of the ball.
Coach, thank you so much. The next time that you can catch Coach Shawn, Coach Smook, and Coach Jarek is during the post-game show, as they'll be leading the 2023 post-game show right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coach Shawn, I appreciate you more than you know, man. Honestly, thank you so much for contributing to the channel, for your precise analysis of just football in general, man, because you get it. And, you know, I couldn't be more thankful, honestly, man. So I will wrap with you soon, and thank you for batting leadoff tonight.
Man, I appreciate you guys. Roll Tide to everybody in the chat. Let's support and like, hit the subscribe button. Let's get ready for this weekend, man. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Coach Shawn, the batting leadoff. Coach Shawn, remember Ichiro, who always got on base? That's who Coach is. Like, he's always going to get the party started. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Coach Saban spoke to the media on Wednesday, was asked about Ty Simpson, said that all quarterbacks have progressed. Thought it was a good answer to a question that he's been asked a million times, right? We didn't necessarily get too big of an injury report from Coach Saban. Then again, this team has been pretty healthy through fall camp. I think the only injury that we're kind of have our eye on going into the game, when you can actually see players kind of moving around, is on Devontae Smith. Now, Devontae Smith, he was getting some reps with the first team safety next to Caleb Downs, and I think some sort of foot injury slowed him down. We'll keep you posted on game day. Next up, 850. Let's get it going. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle. This is Tristan from St. George Island, Florida.
I appreciate you calling in, man. Take it away. You're on the air.
You got it, man. Coach Shawn was right. He was dead on about a lot of stuff, man. I really enjoyed his call. But what I wanted to say is, I saw the video you posted earlier, and I think that, this press conference, especially this last press conference that Nick Saban did, was very important, especially towards the end, because he talked about, everybody wants to be the beast, but, not everybody wants to do what the beast wants to do. And I thought that was great because, first of all, it reminds me, it sort of hones me back to that old Nick Saban speech. He really started to go back to talking about external factors, and it reminds me of an old speech that Nick Saban gave. I'm sure, Kyle, you remember this. I don't know, I'm sure you do, where he talked about, what does it take to break you? What does it take? Because you got tired? Was it because of something that somebody said? And he really emphasized that in the end of his press conference was, all of a sudden now you're going to play good because you're playing an All-American. Well, no, you're supposed to play good all the time. You're supposed to play good in every play. You're supposed to treat every play as if it has a life of its own. He's really emphasized that. And I feel like because he's saying that and because he's emphasizing that, I think they're really emphasizing that to the staff and to the team right now during this period of time. And I know everybody's a little bit frustrated because he didn't give out a depth chart. And, we know Nick Saban likes to hold his cards close to his chest. But, regardless of all the QB talk and all the inside linebacker talk and all the, we know all the talk around the secondary and across every position, I think it's everybody's, we should all be excited about this season to come. I think, regardless of all the depth chart talk, we should just be excited and really be behind our team this season. Also, one thing I wanted to mention, I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much time, but, during this off season, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of poison, as Nick Saban says, a lot of rat poison behind this Alabama team all off season. And I'm going to name some names here. The Snaps podcast, Aaron Murray. He's a little salty about 2012. We beat him in the SEC championship. He's still a little bit salty about that. He's been talking trash about Alabama all off season on YouTube. If you guys are on YouTube, you can go watch it. He's still doing it. Danny Cannell said some bad stuff. The Uncle Lou, he gets every opportunity he gets to talk bad about Nick Saban. Matt Moscona on LSU podcast, he's been talking about, he went on the Crane and Company and talked, and which is the biggest conservative outlet on YouTube, and talked about how 9-3 would be generous for Alabama. And, Paul Feinbaum has had Matt Bratton on from that SEC podcast. Now, I'm not talking bad about all these guys. I love anybody who covers college football on YouTube. I love it. We support it. But it's just important for everybody to remember that all these people and all these guys have been talking about Alabama terrible all season. And I think that it's important to keep that in record in our heads. And I hope that the staff and I hope that the team is really using that energy to push during this season, to be physical and win games because of all the bad talk that has gone on through this offseason.
Tristan, I appreciate the call, man. Really good points. It's kind of like the Alabama hit list, right, going into this coming season. And because there's so many people that are just relishing the fact that this team seems vulnerable, but they're not vulnerable. And I was actually talking to my pops about this morning. 309-205, you're up next in the call queue. Be patient. I appreciate you guys. The world of college football could be completely different within 3 plays, right? Georgia almost lost at the end of the season. A lot of people forget that Georgia, they were getting put too by Ohio State, right? A lot of people, nobody talks about that. And then Alabama's just really 2 plays away from, being in the playoffs, or 1 play away from being in the playoffs. And you're right. Like, there's a lot of people that want to see kind of this, this program not be what it is. But look, the line is set at 40 points for a reason. This team is going to be just fine. I can't wait to see this team kind of find their identity. And you're right. Like, there's been so much talk about the depth chart. And I was thinking about it too. I would like to see a depth chart, I guess, but it doesn't really make a difference to me because he's right. Like, people rotate in and out. And I've always said this when talking about Alabama regarding the depth chart. This isn't a high school football team. It's not like the best 11 on offense and the best 11 on defense. Like, this depth chart could go 17 offensive starters, 17 defensive starters, depending on the formation. So what difference does it make? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you can, based off like the dime, like if you're just running like a base coverage compared to your dime when you have an extra corner, like the depth chart wouldn't indicate a different depth chart, right? Within the formation that they're running. So just like if you're running a heavy set or a goal line set, or you have all your tight ends in, like, just because they're not in on that play doesn't mean that they're not starters. It's kind of what I'm getting at. Absolutely. But right, like, that's why, like, the depth chart, you're like, not really big of a deal. Hey, Tristan, I appreciate you calling in. I think you made a great point. It's kind of like the Alabama hit list. We'll continue to track all those guys' projections as we move forward throughout the college football season. But
we love it. We don't want them to change their mind. We want them to keep saying it. I love the show. Keep doing it, man.
Yeah, you enjoy it down there in St. George Island, man. All right, take it easy. All right, Tristan batting in the 2 spot. All right, a 309. Thanks for being patient. Let's get it going. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
All right. This is Noah, like Noah's Ark, from Peoria, Illinois, calling in with a big Roll Tide.
I appreciate it, man. Roll Tide to you. I used to live up in the Midwest, lived in Pella, Iowa, went to school at Central College. It was freezing there. It could be because if you know anything about like Pella windows, That's where Pella, Iowa is. And it's a beautiful little community. And in fact, I still have some good friends. One of my good buddies, Mark Mills, he drives like a combine tractor for a living. That's what he does. Have another friend who works for Future Farmers of America. Met some good people in Iowa. That's my Midwest story. We have Alabama fans all over the country. What's on your mind, man? Take it away.
What's on my mind? I'm going to share a few comments, just thoughts and, my own takes. And then I'm going to share what I really called in, what I'm really geared up to see from the Crimson Tide this year. Talking seasons just lasting so long. These guys are just running out of talking points, and all you can do is just, all they can do is try to talk bad about Saban. I'm hearing he's getting desperate, the decaying dynasty. I'm up here. It's Big Ten world up here. These guys, their bias is just, it's suffocating me. The only way for me to feel like I'm at home is by watching, shows like yours that, give a different perspective than what I'm used to listening to. And so what I'll be looking for in the Crimson Tide this year is inside linebacker play and offensive line play. Those would be those are my two favorite position groups. I'm born and raised. It always have been my favorite position groups on the team. But why I called in tonight, what's got me so fired up is, these past, I'd say 2 seasons in particular, when we score a touchdown, when we make a sack, when we get an interception, I see a lot of individual celebration. The Alabama teams of the early Saban era, when a big play happens, it's hard to find a guy who isn't cheering, So what I'm really looking for in the Crimson Tide this year is, do we have that childlike, enthusiastic body language? Are we really all in? Or do we really care about each other? Or will we see more individual celebrations as we flex to the crowd or taunt to our crowd, or will we see the running back run in there and the offensive guard and him give a big old chest bump after, and then the wide receiver who wasn't in that play running up and congratulating that running back, or insert any position group that scores the touchdown. You know what I mean? I'm just really looking to see, are we all about the script A? Are we all about winning? Do we have our own individual agendas? Not saying that it was the whole roster by any means these past 2 seasons, but it just really seemed like after that 2020 team left, after winning that title, since then it's been hard to find that selflessness when I'm watching the games. It's just something spiritually is just missing that really could be the deciding factor in the one play loss to LSU, the one play loss to Tennessee. We were a few bounces of the balls away last year. I'm listening to the Big Ten fanatics up here tell me about how down Alabama's season was last year. We were in a New Year's Six bowl game and manhandled a conference champion. All right, I gave you a whole lot of word salad, Kyle. I'm going to hang up now, and just God bless you, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Hey, thank you so much, Noah, for calling in, man. I'll answer you on the other line. Noah calling up from Peoria, Illinois. I think when you look to the inside linebacker play, and as Coach Shawn mentioned that as well, that's a position that we're all kind of hyper-focused in on the defensive side of the ball, because you have Deontay Lawson, who, by the way, Coach Saban had a lot of positive praise about him tonight, saying that he is the defensive signal caller, and that comes with a tremendous amount of responsibility. And then next to him, Trezvon Marshall, I think, is that guy that has emerged as the next, starter, along with Jahad Campbell. So those guys probably see a lot of time this coming Saturday in terms of your inside linebacker play. How are those guys going to bring it from a physicality standpoint? And I think that's something that we really have to focus in on. And then what Noah was talking about in terms of kind of the team celebration versus the individual celebration. Well, I think that is going to be the identity of this team, and we're going to find that out as we go forward. Remember kind of the crane, how that kind of took over social media, and that was part of the wide receivers, the ride out mentality. See if that does come back. And we talked to Chris Broswell this week, and he said that he might have to talk to Dallas Turner about some sack celebrations. So maybe that's an early indicator that they're going to celebrate some of these sacks or wins as a team. We'll go back to the phone lines. We got a 205, and we will take it right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, this is Josh calling in from Denver, Colorado. Want to let you know I appreciate your show and everything you're doing.
Man, it feels like I've lived a lot of places, man. I really appreciate you calling in because I used to own a business up in Boulder, Colorado. So when I was living in New Mexico, I would do frequent drives up through Denver. I actually would stay in Broomfield because it was cheaper than staying in Boulder. But Boulder is so beautiful. Love it up there. Have friends in Denver. Such a great city. So spread out. Love the airport. It's kind of like out there, but love everything about Colorado. I appreciate you calling in. What's on your mind tonight, Josh?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So I really like everything that you've been saying on your past videos. A lot of the other guys I've been watching on YouTube. A lot of the callers made a lot of good points. I don't have a lot to add in that respect, but I want to take things maybe from a slightly different angle. So let's say Sunday comes, and when we look back on Saturday, one of two things has happened. And trust me, I don't think this is going to happen, but one of two things has happened. The first thing is it's a much closer game than what we thought. Let's just spitball it, 20-10. Or number two, they've run up a lot of points, and maybe we beat them kind of like Southern Cal did with San Jose State. So maybe it's a 49-28 sort of game. So my question for you is, if either of those situations were to happen, what do you think the reason would be that those outcomes would happen? Would it be the offensive line maybe isn't as gelled or as good as what we thought, secondary play, quarterback play, all the above, something else? And again, I don't think that's going to happen, but I just want to play a little bit of devil's advocate. If the worst case scenario happens, what do you think is going to be the reason why that happens? And I'll hang up and listen, Kyle.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, thank you very much, Josh, for calling in from Denver, Colorado. We appreciate you calling in. We got another phone line that has opened up. We got a 251 and a 662 in the call queue. Appreciate you guys being patient. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here. Alabama versus Middle Tennessee this Saturday, September 2nd, 6:30 p.m. TV is SEC Network. Alabama favored by nearly 40 points. Josh is asking, in a worst case scenario, Alabama wins the game, but it's not by a large margin. I think what it would come down to, and I'm 100% certain on this, would be somehow that Alabama, struggles in terms of turnovers, because you have to look at Middle Tennessee. There's one particular stat when you look at this game is that Middle Tennessee, their defense is able to create turnovers. Over the last 3 years, I think they have 80 forced turnovers, and last year they had 20 interceptions. So in some sort of capacity in that, I guess, that situation, I could see like Alabama throwing a couple interceptions or fumbling the football or something like that. And then also probably tied into penalties. Coach Saban did talk about penalties today. You look at some of those late season games that Alabama did lose, it was penalties. Comes down to kind of those mental mistakes. Alabama starts out hot. That's something that we've seen. I like Alabama by more than 40 points. I usually don't take Alabama in these large margin games just because Coach Saban, it's not that he won't run up the score. It's just, he changes kind of the game plan. And sometimes he doesn't even take out the starters, honestly. A lot of people feel that if you get up by like 4 touchdowns, take them out. Coach Saban likes to have these guys 4-quarter ready. That's why I think he probably is going to play multiple quarterbacks, but starters are going to stay in. He wants them to have 4-quarter game experience because that week 2 Texas match is just around the corner. All right, we'll go right back to the phone lines. Thank you, Josh, for the question. I really appreciate it. We got a 251, and we'll take it right now. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
This is Kendall from Mobile, Alabama. How you doing tonight, Cal?
Hey, what's up, Kendall? Man, I got a story for every single place, so I have to tell you that Magnolia Grove Golf Course down there is absolutely beautiful. Had some good food down in the area. Love everything about it. Thank you very much for calling in. I have a question for you before you start. For me, have you seen the young man from Saraland play, Ryan Williams?
Yeah, Ryan Williams. Yeah, I watched that game Friday night, and I like what I'm seeing. Oh, yeah, and another player on that team, too, Antonio Coleman. He's predicted to come to us.
Okay, because I was just wondering, I mean, like the thing about Ryan Williams that stands out to me is just like the dude is like, he has so much speed, kind of that Jalen Waddle type speed, and you can't throw that around loosely, but it's like the dude is, I mean, like, I hope he reclassifies the class of 2024 because you need that speed on the field. With that said, Kendall, what's on your mind, man? Take it away.
First off, I'm going to start with this. What Nick Saban said about Ty Simpson today, what does that make you think about where the quarterback battle is?
I think, look, I'm gonna like go back to what Coach Saban talks about is like baking the cake. I think all those quarterbacks have made progress, like Coach has said, and I think Coach wants to see. This is what Coach wants to see. He wants to see in-game production, and he wants to see in-game consistency. And that is going to determine who the quarterback is for the rest of the season. And as Coach said, it's not going to be determined against Middle Tennessee. It might not be determined against Texas. So I think he wants to see consistency. That's the one thing that Coach loves more than anything is consistency and performance. And when you look to past quarterbacks that have excelled at Alabama, they have had one common denominator, and that has been consistency. So I think he wants to see more consistency, as he said, on Monday from Jalen, and regards to Ty Simpson, I think consistency. So whichever quarterback can show the most consistency and performance, that is going to be the quarterback that has the most opportunities. And it's tied into what he also have said is like, force me to play you. And you have to force, and by doing that, the consistent players cannot be taken out of the game because they are so consistent, right? Like he's not going to take you out if you're performing well on a consistent basis. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And another thing, I've thought about this lately because I've just been thinking about the past quarterbacks we've had. In all honesty, I hope we have a quarterback who's just above average, excuse me. And the reason being because when we have someone like a Bryce, a Tua, Jalen Hurts, his freshman year, it seems like we just rely on him too much and we just come too centered around him. I like it when we have like a Jake Coker, a AJ McCarron, a quarterback who's not a first-round pick, but the team don't solely rely on them. They know they got to do everything right, or they could cost themselves the game. So
that's not a bad point. I mean, you look at okay, Mac Jones, he was a first round pick, but he last quarterback to win the Natty. But I mean, you're not that far off. I mean, Alabama didn't win a national title with Bryce, right? The first round pick in the NFL draft. You got to rely on more guys. You got to spread the football out. You got to rely on your offensive coordinator. I kind of like that take, Kendall, to be honest. This team has playmakers, clearly, but who's going to get them the football and who's going to show up? A lot of, like Coach Shawn at the beginning of the show, he said, looking for paging Malik Benson, right? Catch the football. Let's see what these guys can do on the outside. Of course, right there, number 7, that's Ja'Cory Brooks, also returning for their wide receiver unit. Anything else, Kendall, while you're on the line?
Yeah, I got 2 more points.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bond is a receiver I'm keeping an eye on. The quarterback battle, I'm believing Jalen Milroe will start. It reminds me of 2016, like Jalen Milroe being Cooper Bateman, Ty Simpson being Blake Barnett, and Dylan Lonergan kind of being that Jalen Hurts. I don't know if it'll turn out the way that did. But this team, it reminds me so much of the 2016 team. The offense, I think it's going to be very similar to 2016 offense. Like, we're going to run the ball a lot of touch passes, play action, hit them deep. Then Kevin Steele's a lot like Jeremy Pruitt. Their coaching style is very similar. And, he's real intense. So I'd expect to have a 2016 type team, possibly.
It's not that's fine with me. I mean, all the components are there. I think you bring up a good point. Like Kevin Steele, we really haven't talked about him, and we have our eye on the defense, just like a couple past callers have said. Watching those interior linebacker play. Everything is setting up nicely for this squad to come in. They're laying in the weeds. I'm loving it. This is the first time that they're like, there's been some people talking about them, but for the most part, it's like, I can't wait to see what these guys do on Saturday. And if they just come out and mop the floor with Middle Tennessee, they're still not going to get that notoriety that we're accustomed to, but that will be earned against quality competition, and Texas looms. So as soon as this game's over, we turn the page to Texas. Kendall, was there anything else that you have for us?
Last point I'll get off. Remember last time everybody doubted Alabama, 2021 national championship game, and look what happened. That's all I'm gonna say. But have a nice night. Roll Tide, and I appreciate what you do to your show, Cal. I love it. And are you gonna do a post game show after the game Saturday?
Yes, yeah. So this is important. World announcement. So I'm going to the game. I'm going to all the games. So I physically upload Coach Saban's press conference by myself. And tonight, I know a lot of people pissed off about the audio. That was the mic was cutting out from the university's feed. Trust me, I baby that audio. Like I have two different feeds going, okay? But they were both plugged into the malt box and the microphone was cutting out from UA. So if you watch other feeds, their mic was cutting out too. That wasn't like an our issue. Trust me. Like the biggest thing for me is audio. I promise you. So I go to the game, I upload Saban personally. So what's going to happen is you have Coach Smook and Coach Shawn and Coach Jarek are going to start the post-game show so I can get back to my studio, and then I will start taking your calls after the post-game show. So that's how that will work.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
All right.
But yeah, have a nice night.
All right, roll tide, Kendo. Appreciate you, man. All right, we got a 662 and a 205. Be patient. Appreciate you guys coming in. Edit, I see you inside the comment box. Larry, what's up? Roll tide to you. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. We should have 200 thumbs up inside this video. Coach Saban tonight with a really great interview talking about leadership towards the back end of that press conference. Nobody does it better. Nobody would be a better president at the organization. He is the president. He is a CEO here at the University of Alabama. But I mean, every single thing that he talks about from a leadership standpoint is what you want to emulate within your job, within your profession. He's got it down, man. He is the absolute GOAT. 662, let's get it going. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
My name is Cale. That's just Caleb without the B. I am calling in from Lamar County.
Appreciate you calling in from Lamar County, man. What's on your mind?
I want to know, what do you think makes this year's hype a little bit different from the last couple of years? Because obviously, especially last year, when we had a whole lot of discipline issues on both sides of the ball, obviously a lot of hype every year. It's Bama football. But is there a different type of vibe that you get from coach or from the individual players at the press conferences? Or is it just more of a wait and see kind of thing?
I think that there is a little bit more hunger, to be honest. I asked Dallas Turner earlier in the season if there's a little bit more motivation, considering that Dear Alabama video that I created. I think there's some truth to that, honestly. I think that Tennessee, if you went inside that locker room in Tennessee and you're like, hey, you play with Alabama this year? They're like 100%. Same thing with LSU. Same thing with Texas. The Texas Longhorns, I promise you, feel that they're coming to Alabama to beat Alabama. And this wasn't always the case. You can go to a really good site for you guys. This is some homework. Winnipsedia. You can type this in. Alabama versus Arkansas, Winnipsedia. Alabama versus Tennessee, Winnipsedia. And it shows you the list of the games and when they played each other. The thing that stands out is when I lived here, I never saw Tennessee beat Alabama. I never saw Arkansas. And it had been like years and years since like 2005, like before Saban was here. And so I think kind of the team is starting to sense that a little bit, and they're playing a little bit pissed off at fall camp. The only thing that we haven't, and usually like when there's a fight at camp, that's like a good thing. We haven't heard if that's taken place. But yeah, I think they're pissed off. You got to be pissed off for greatness. This is Alabama, and like part of the standard is like instilling that fear. Coach Shawn brought up such a great point when he was talking with Coach Smook, is like, remember when teams were coming out to play Alabama, they were scared. Notre Dame, like they were nervous. Now I think like that needs to be reinstilled into some of these programs. So yeah, I think the vibe is like, look, people think they can play with us. Let's go prove them wrong in kind of a silent mentality way.
Yeah, I think y'all were talking about the 2016 team a while ago. absolutely excited, especially for guys like Caleb Downs, who you hear a lot of hype about now. But I really want to see our defense get back to that standard of being just the monsters across the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I agree with you too. I think, and Edit, I see you in the comment box, but what I'm saying, Edit, is the fact that like Arkansas probably feels that they could play with Alabama. And the reason is probably, Sam Pittman's a great coach, but you look at the last couple seasons, it's not like Alabama has just kind of mopped the floor with them up and down, right? Like Arkansas is a team trending upwards. And in fact, them coming to Tuscaloosa with Alabama's homecoming, that's a dangerous game, especially if the quarterback is healthy during that point. Like that's a good team. But yeah, Kel, I mean, looking at the trenches on both sides of the ball, I really like Alabama's offensive line. I talked about that earlier in the show. And then on the defense, it's just like, Jaheim Otis. Someone said that they felt that he lost too much weight. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, he's still up to like 330 pounds. And so is Tim Keenan. And those are the plugs who also got praise. And I think that's some really great news when you look to guys in the trenches. Jameer and Latham is another guy that we'll probably watch. Of course, Jamil Burrows, I'm sure you guys saw that, committed to Miami today. He was the guy who transferred out this summer, kind of some of that plug depth, if you will. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at in the trenches. Anything else, Kel?
I reckon just anybody can talk how they want. Georgia can talk how they want. Texas can talk how they want. They think they can play with us. They a whole lot of words spilling out of their mouth. Not a whole lot to say about them. Nothing but roll, tide, roll. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Kel. Call in anytime, man.
Thank you, man.
Kelly calling in from Lamar County. We got a 205 and a 334 up next. Appreciate you guys being patient. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys being here during the opening week of the college football season. Alabama versus Middle Tennessee, Saturday, September 2nd, 6:30 p.m. TV is SEC Network. I'll be at the game reporting to you from Bryant-Denny Stadium. I'll have a post-game show with Coach Shawn and Coach Smook, and then I'll be on to take your calls when I get back to my studio. We got a ton coming your way right here on Bama Football on YouTube. If you guys could hit the subscribe button so you guys are notified every single time we drop a video, I really appreciate you guys. And then hitting the thumbs up. The tip is up inside the comment box to my Venmo link. Of course, super chats, of course, are always appreciated. Just booked my tickets to Tampa, going down there to watch Alabama in South Florida in week 3 of the college football season. Can't wait to get down to Tampa for a quick trip, but I always like going down to Florida. We go back to the phone lines. It's the 205, and we start right now. Hey, I appreciate you calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, what's up, brother? This is Hattie May from the Ham, man. Not from Birmingham.
Yeah. I appreciate you calling in, man. Hattie May. It's good to talk to you. Finally made it to the college football season. A couple days away from Alabama versus Middle Tennessee. What's on your mind, man?
Oh, man, just hanging out. First and foremost, just that Dear Alabama video, man, was great. That got me pumped up. It got me ready to go outside and run some sprints up and down the street. So I almost did it, but I didn't. Had a long day at work. Got asthma, but I thought about it. Dude, that got me pumped up, man. Because we've been dragged through the mud a little bit this off season, and I hear Tim Brando and Paul Feinbaum, saying Nick's a bully. Oh, he's a bully, man, because he's not releasing his depth chart, man. Oh, okay. Well, you know what? The only bullying that's going to be going on is in between the lines this year, son. That's what's going to be happening, because we have been. You want to talk about rat poison, Georgia? All these Georgia sites talking about, there's been 2 or 3 guys that have said we're not good. So you know what? That just means nobody else thinks we're good. We've had David Pollock's comments on all summer, homie. We've got all rat poison, and we've had it a lot longer than you have. So we got a lot built up, and we're more together because of it, man. I think we're more together. I think mentally this team's stronger. That's going to help with the penalties. That's going to help with beating ourselves, because we've been exposed. The same guys that took those lumps are back, and I think we're going to be stronger. And just referring to Kendall, one of the callers before, about the comments that Tom, and I know I'm going on. But Kendall's comments, about Ty, man, I've been saying, I think we're going to be using 2 quarterbacks because it has reminded me of 2016. And, with Ty's comments, with just the fact that we're kind of set on Jalen being the starter, but just the fact that those comments come out to light, that means that interior competition is good, man. That's healthy. We have healthy competition, if that's what he's saying. We're building everybody up. We're typing that, hey, attaboy, if he makes that good pass, we got good energy. We've got that good energy in the quarterback room, so that competition is we're good there. It's healthy. And I think that's gonna, in those tough times, that's what's gonna be the difference. And I know I'm a little bit of 180 here, but the Braves, man, I've said it a couple times in the comments, man, the Braves, dude, that interior competition the Braves have, that's why they're doing so good, man, because you've got one guy with 30 bombs, you got another with 30, you got one guy stealing 60 bags, you got another guy trying to steal 30, you got guys that are wanting to play and be out there when they're a little nicked up because, the guy next to him in the lineup's out there producing. And it's fun when you're a part of that, and I think that interior competition that's what's really going to set us apart this year, and the brotherhood that we've created with that competition and our ups and downs. And I think it's going to be similar to 2016, but I think in a way of how we run with Jalen Milroe, because how we ran with Jalen Hurts in 2016 with that O-line that we had, that's how I think it's going to be similar, because we got some big boys up there. So I think we're going to be able to run a lot more with Jalen. The tight end's going to be huge, man, the black. I'm telling you, I think he's going to be a good, like Lamar Jackson with Mark Andrews, man. That's his guy. And so I think with Jalen having that good, with those third and shorts when they do stack the box, right? Because we know Texas is going to stack it. We know, all these teams are going to try to stack the box and make Noah beat us with his arm. And I think the tight end's going to be huge in that department. And so those are just a couple comments that I have, off rip. And but that deal going back, just that deal Alabama video, bro, was sweet. That was great. And I'll shoot it back to you. And I'm here if you need me to stay. I'm here if you want me to move to the next call. I'm cool with that too. So
yeah, Hattie, mate, I'll answer you on the other line, man. But I always appreciate when you call in, man. You have good context, and I love how you tie it into the Braves, man. That's good, man.
I'm chilling. Well, real quick, my Pineapple Express, another fellow commenter in the comments, is my roommate, man. And we're chopping it up all the time. We love your show, bro.
Oh, that's good, man. Yeah. And I love Pineapple Express, the movie. That movie. That's one of the
yeah, man, he's great.
It's one of the goats. He's like, what do you mean the car is dead? It's like,
yeah, man, that's good. We bring those up all the time. We have our references, but yeah, man, that's just just had to throw that out there. But dude, you're great, bro. The content's awesome, and that Dear Alabama video, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. And that's all I got, brother. And I have faith in our guys this year. So for all the points that I said.
All right, roll tide to you, man.
Yeah, brother.
Hattie Mae calling in from Beham. Got a 334 and an 832 inside the comment box or the call queue. I'll get to you guys in just a second. Yeah. Chief saying that I had a dispensary. No, Pineapple Express is hilarious. That's such a funny movie. Like, in the more times you watch it, it gets funnier, right? Like, it's a classic. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube, coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I hope you guys are having a great game week. There's been tons of footage. If you guys can like the videos, if you guys can subscribe to the channel, that would help me a tremendous amount. Post-game show, one more time, will be after the game immediately. The game ends, post-game show starts. Coach Shawn, Coach Smook, Coach Jarek. I will upload Saban. Then I'll come back to the studio, field your calls. It'll be an epic show. Every single time after the game, right here on Bama Football on YouTube. We got a 334, and we start right now. Hey, thanks for being patient inside the comment box and inside the call queue. Here on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Skip in Jackson, Tennessee. How you doing, buddy? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Skip, what's up? I can hear you from Tennessee. Coming in clear. And what's on your mind, man? Just a couple more days away, and then we'll be talking some Alabama football, what we learned. But go ahead, man. Take it away.
Yeah, I was wanting to talk about the couple of true freshmen that's going to be starting for us on Saturday. You know, Caleb Downs and then Caden Proctor. I'll start with Caden Proctor, the starting freshman left tackle. I was going to ask you, how much help is it going to be for him since they slid Tyler Booker over the left guard? You think that's going to be a big impact as far as communication on picking up blitz schemes and stuff like that? Or
Yeah, 100%. Because as I said at the beginning,
is that overblown? I guess.
No. I think it was. I mean, Eric Wolford. That was a genius move because I said at the beginning of the show, I strongly feel that Tyler Booker and J.C. Latham are 2 pound for pound top offensive linemen in the SEC. And I think that Tyler Booker has such a tremendous IQ at that guard position that he's going to be able to, in critical game situations, he's going to be able to be right there as a mentor, as a coach on the field with Caden Proctor. So that was a tremendous move. Whoever came up with that, whoever thought about that, kudos to them, because it doesn't necessarily make that much sense to have Tyler and JC. You have so much experience on the right side. So switching him over to the left side of the ball where he can be kind of a mentor, if you will, to Caden Proctor. I love that move.
Yeah. I like it too. And I wouldn't be surprised if the GOAT himself suggested that move. But yeah, I think it'll help him. And like any freshman, you know, he's going to have his bumps along the road, but I think it's worth it to play him at this point in his career because he's college ready. I think mentally, from what I've heard, he's ready to play in a high stakes, high pressured SEC game. You know, when things are on the line, you know, there's a lot of guys mentally that just aren't mature enough for that yet. They have to develop those, those mental abilities to be able to handle that stress and all that pressure. So, yeah, he's a 3-and-out guy in my opinion. You know, if he stays healthy, you know, he'll be gone after his junior year to the draft, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's like a top 10 pick just because he's already got that size. I mean, that NFL scouts covet as a freshman, and he just continues to get better. Like the sky's the limit. So I definitely agree with going ahead and playing him, getting him in the lineup.
Yeah, 100%. Did you have something else on another freshman that you wanted to talk about, Skip?
Yeah, real quick, Caleb Downs. I'm really going to be trying to key in on him. I know a lot of times the camera kind of frames out the safeties. Whenever they snap the ball, they kind of frame them out. But I'm just kind of wondering like how he's going to play, what kind of role he's playing in dime specifically, and just the dime package overall. I know they've been mixing and matching a lot of personnel there, which is a good sign. But yeah, I'm really because everybody's comparing this kid to like some of the best safeties that's come out here recently. So really excited about Caleb Downs and just seeing what he can do in high pressure situations. They say he's really mature as well. So yeah, I believe two of those guys will be freshman All-Americans this year after when it's all said and done.
The one thing that Coach Saban has talked about, because he was asked specifically about the freshmen and what type of characteristic that freshmen have that are able to get on the field in their initial year. And he said maturity. You hear that about Caden Proctor, but specifically about Caleb Downs. I mean, even today during the SEC teleconference, Coach Saban was asked about Caleb Downs, and he said that, not only has he carried that momentum in from the spring season into the fall, but, he's ready to go. And I'm with you. I'm going to be looking at Caleb Downs not only this weekend because, it's going to give our first opportunity to see him in actual game competition, but during Texas, can you imagine some of the matchups that he's going to be faced with? And can you imagine that speed? A lot of people today were talking about A.D. Mitchell. I don't, he's not going to be covering him, but I mean, maybe the tight end, number 0. Those guys are electric and they have so many weapons. So how is Caleb Downs going to adapt to that type of speed? Because the speed on Saturday is going to be very fast, similar to what practice is. Of course, they're going against better athletes on the offensive side of the ball, but against Texas, that is going to be such a tremendous challenge for a freshman. Same thing with Caden Proctor, right? That's going to be a whole different set of issues. That's why I love them moving Tyler Booker over there to get that continuity on the left side of the offensive line. But yeah, Caleb Downs is going to be presented with some challenges, but think about the guys that he's going against every single day. right? I mean, he's going against guys who have speed, guys who are fast, guys who are tough to deal with.
Right.
So, and they wouldn't put him in those situations if they didn't feel he could do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree with you there. And the thing about, like you were saying, him going up to the competition, I mean, he's going up against Dallas Turner, guys are going to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's like the plus side. And I think, and that even when he committed to Alabama, when he flipped his commitment from Iowa, he mentioned that. He was saying, you know what I'm saying, I just feel like I can develop my skills better at Alabama because look at the competition you go against.
Yeah.
I don't know if he specifically said this, but he said, you might face stiffer competition in practice than you will all year.
Yeah.
Or maybe like it'd be rare if you go up against a guy who's better than the guy you go up against in practice. But yeah, I'm really excited about that kid. And I tell you one thing that Nick Saban looks for when he starts these true freshmen is when they have a bad play. Like he blows, he gives up a sack. That's when Nick Saban zeroes in on those young players and looks at like how they react to that.
Mm-hmm.
They just brush it off, go to the next play. Don't worry about it, or does it get in their head? Like if he sees that it starts getting in your head, he'll pull you quick. Like I've seen him do it before. So that's the fun part of watching these true freshmen, just watching them grow up on right before your eyes on the field. So
yeah, and it's always amazing how they get here and then they take off. What else is on your mind, Skip?
Real quick, I know you've been talking about the wide receiver drops and stuff like that through camp. I just got this feeling that that's all going to get worked out because it's the thing we just talked about. It's a good thing to start out a new quarterback when the left side of your line, you got right-handed quarterbacks. It's good when you got the left side, you ain't got to really worry about it when you got two beasts over there. So I think the wide receivers are going to be able to get open and be able to have easy balls to catch. So I think the drops, we won't be talking about it much after the first 3 or 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they're about to turn it on, and they've heard the message loud and clear. I mean, they're not, they're out there, they're hearing it, but they're seeing it at practice too. So I'm with you, man. I have confidence in that group, and I think they're going to be a big step up from last year. Skip, I'm going to get to my next caller. I appreciate you calling in from Jackson, Tennessee, and I will catch up with you next time we have a call-in show.
Hey, yes, sir, man. Best show, the Bama show on YouTube, man. Keep grinding, man. Keep doing your thing.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Skip. Skip calling in from Jackson, Tennessee. I got an 832 and a 717. Inside the call queue. Kyle Henderson, Bama football on YouTube. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Just a couple days away, Alabama will take on Middle Tennessee. Alabama ranked number 3 in the coaches poll, ranked number 4 in the AP poll. So that. Still good, right? Everyone's been, and the reason I say it like laying in the weeds or whatever we're talking about is because you guys see it as well. That's why I'm so excited for this team to come out and, whatever they do from the quarterback standpoint, I think they're going to be fine. It's going to be a really fun season. I'm like, this is probably as excited as I've been. And there was an article out, I think AL.com had it out, that this is the most Saban has smiled in all of fall camp. One of the reporters, he went through and watched all the press conferences and said that percentage-wise, this is the most smiles that we've seen from Saban in fall camp. So it's got to be good, right? It's got to be a good thing. All right, 832, let's get it going. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
My name is Mike, and I'm calling from Austin, Texas.
Mike from Austin. Uh-oh. This better be good, Mike. You calling in with some scoop? What's the temperature like? What's going on, man? You guys, we're all trying to fast forward our week 1 matchups to get to week 2.
Yeah. Well, I'm a Bama fan. There's a lot of Bama fans out here in Texas, but I can tell you that as far as the local chatter goes here around Austin, the Longhorns, they really feel that they can go in and win the game. And possibly they can. I mean, it's yet to be seen. They seem they have the right attitude, and they have the players to do it and the quarterback to do it, because you got to have a quarterback to beat Alabama. So that's just kind of the vibes I'm picking up here. But I do want to say, I don't know if you saw this article that came out. I don't know what website put it out, but it talked about the talent on these football teams this year. And they based the rankings off the number of 5 stars on the team, number of 4 stars and 3 stars and such. But number one on the list by a pretty good margin was the mighty Crimson Tide. And the number of 5-stars they had on the list was about 17 5-stars. And then number two on the Georgia Bulldogs, of course, that had probably about 13 5-stars. And number 4 on the list was Texas A&M Aggies that had a lot of 5-stars and 4-stars on the roster as well. But not only did Bama have the most 5-stars, but they also had the more 4-stars by a pretty good margin too. So with that being said, I think that's why Nick Saban has been so successful and such a great coach. And with all these trophies he's piled up, since he's been at Bama, is that he recruits the best play, recruits at the highest level. We all already know that. But he tries to get the most out of his players too, because you talk about you listen to the way he coaches about doing the things, the little things, and having the right attitude and doing the right things to be successful. So he has the best players and he gets the most out of them. So I think that's just been his his recipe for success.
Yeah, I don't think there's any denying that. What I'm curious about, Mike, and you bring up a good point. So you're saying that this article says that Alabama has the most 5-stars, 4-stars on the roster, then Georgia, Texas A&M somewhere in there. So what is the water cooler talk? What are people talking about when they're eating some of that amazing barbecue in Austin? Why do I get this sense? And why does, I guess, some of the world of college football, like I've seen people saying Texas is going to come in here and beat Alabama by 10 points. I think someone from On3 said that recently. And why do they feel that they can just come in here? Like, what are they saying? Why? Is it the quarterback play? Is it because Alabama hasn't solidified the quarterback position on a piece of paper? What's the mindset in Austin? Why are people so confident when talking about Texas coming to Bryant-Denny Stadium to pull off the dub?
Well, mainly because of the Texas Longhorns quarterbacks. I guess this Quinn Ewers, I think his name is. They're really big on this guy, and he's had an excellent spring. And in the past, the only knock on Quinn Ewers was he really wasn't a team leader. He really didn't do the things he needed to do. But he's kind of turned the page, and I think he's taken his team leadership to another level because he cut his mullet off. He's got, that's neither here nor there, but he's taken his leadership more. And then the second and third team QBs they have as well. You know who the second guy is, of course, the Manning kid, and they got this other guy that was highly recruited that's playing. So they've had a really good spring, and then they have good skill position players as well, like two of the best running backs in college football they're going to field, and good quarterbacks. They think they match up well, and as well as and they think they should have won the game last year. Between you and I and the rest of the YouTube world, Kyle, I think that Bama played one of the worst games that they played all year last year. They had 15 flags on them for 150 yards. Texas Longhorns had 4 flags thrown on them. So Bama played a horrible game, and if not for the heroics of Bryce Young, Texas might have won that game. So they think they can get it done because they think they should have won last year. If not for this call, if not for just one more flag on Bama, and we'd have won that game. So they were so close last year, and it was close, and they didn't get it done. So they think they match up well, but the answer to the question, the short answer is Quinn Ewers. That's why they think they can win. And the other 10% is maybe some uncertainty in our quarterback room, although I don't think there's a whole lot of uncertainty there. But that's why they think they match up well. And Steve Sarkisian, he did something great when the second year, I think this is the second year, but he solved the culture problem at Texas. Because, when Steve Sarkisian got here, Texas kind of had a culture problem a little bit where some of the team didn't want to sing the anthem for, their school song for one reason or another. Players had trouble of buying into the program and didn't believe in the coaching and such. So they're over the hump right there. Everybody has bought into the program here, from the fans to the players to everybody's bought into the program. So when Texas gets going all in one direction, they're a powerhouse team, and that's the bottom line right there. But, however, like I say, it all centers around their quarterback and then thinking that this is their year. And just so you know, in that list of most talented teams, Texas is number 7. So they do have the ability, the players to do so. So that's basically why, Kyle, they think their quarterback's going to take them to the promised land.
All right, one more thing before I move to my next call. We're on with Mike from Austin. How monumental would this win be for Steve Sarkisian and for Texas? This, in my opinion, this would be the biggest win that Texas has had within, I don't know, like in many, many years, because Texas, they have a large brand, right? Up there with Alabama, but they don't have those marquee victories that Alabama does as of late. This would be Texas' Super Bowl. It is their Super Bowl, regardless of what happens. They beat Alabama. That is going to send Steve Sarkisian into one of those ridiculous, like $350 million. They'll pay him whatever. Well, he'll $1 billion, right? You finally beat Alabama. How monumental would it be for Steve, for Texas, for Austin, for everybody, if Alabama is really to be beaten at home by Texas?
Well, like you say, this is their Super Bowl. And beating Alabama is a benchmark to where you're at in your program. But it just, in my personal opinion, Kyle, it's kind of a double-edged sword for them. And this is why. Because if they beat Alabama, all these Longhorn fans are going to say, well, we should have beat Alabama. We got the better team. We got the better QB. We should have beat Alabama. And they really shouldn't. But if they lose to Alabama, they're going to be, oh, there we go again, back to where we are. We can't beat nobody. We ain't arrived yet. So it's really a fine line they're walking, just in my opinion, between winning and not winning. But it's just a benchmark to where they feel they have finally arrived back on the college football stage, because ever since the playoffs have gotten here, the Longhorns have never made the playoff. But not only that, here's a fact for you: the Longhorns haven't won the Big 12 since 2009. So I'm talking over 12, 13 years. They have been down, man. They have been down, and they're really hungry to come back and make, to their golden era of the Texas Longhorn days. They're ready to get back to it, and they feel they're closer than they've been in a long time, and they're motivated because the Big 12 commissioners talking smack, telling all these other teams to go out and beat the Longhorns, send them out with the loss. So they're motivated to do so. But yeah, man, this is their Super Bowl. It would mean a lot to them, yeah. But because it'll feel that they finally, able to compete with, just like LSU and Tennessee. It's a benchmark for them. But yeah, but to my opinion, Kyle, double-edged sword for the Longhorns, because they're not like Alabama fans, but they're not really. Bama fans are pretty dang loyal. Heck, we survived the Mike Price days, the Dennis Franchione days. We survived, the Mike Shula days. Well, Shula wasn't too bad, I guess. I don't know, but these guys, they're not as they're a little more fickle than we are. So I hear that they got a lot of pro ball. We ain't got that in Bama, man. We ain't got. But anyway, I'm glad the season's here, man. Last year was such a heartbreak because Bama was one of the best teams in college football. The only team that could probably compete with Georgia Bulldogs and didn't get their chance to do it just because of TCU Big 12 runners-up goes and plays and gets humiliated, and because of Ohio State privilege. Well, Alabama doesn't get in there. So that last year was such a disappointment. But anyway, man, that's I enjoy your show. And stay strong, man. Roll Tide. And starting tomorrow, I think we got 5 straight days of college football. So the season is here, brother, man. So
all right. Well, thank you.
talking to
Yeah,
man.
good call, Mike. Appreciate it, man. It's Mike calling in from Austin.
All right, man.
Roll Tide to you, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate you calling in. Mike calling in from Austin. We'll take our 717 and 409. Those are our next 2 calls. We'll just jump right into it. Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. I was curious to see what he would have to say about Texas fans. You know, he's an Alabama fan living behind enemy lines. Poor guy, right? But yeah, that's why I said, dear Alabama. Like, fans, people think that they can beat Alabama at home at Bryant-Denny Stadium. The last team to do it was LSU, right? And Joe Burrow. Like, in that team, we remember that team. That's one of the greatest college football teams, at least on the offensive side of the ball. That team was filthy. And so was Alabama. The number of pros on the field that day, it was outstanding. 717. Let's get it going. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Kyle, I'm Steve from up Alabama, but I'm a traveling guy, so I'm up in St. Cloud, Minnesota tonight.
Appreciate you calling from the Midwest, but we know you're down here in the great state of Alabama. What's on your mind? Go ahead. Take it away.
Hey, buddy, I just want to know what kind of H2O are you serving those players down there in Alabama?
My goodness, right? Like the amount of hydration questions that we got made me thirsty. Look, I get it. You know, there was like
I was watching a Mud Dog. I thought I was watching a Mud Dog interview the other day.
You know what I had to do? Look, and the guys do a great job. The writers, they write. I had to recut the question I asked to Chris Broswell and put it at the front of the interview to keep people engaged because it was just about Beats headphones or hydration. And so I finally had to ask a question to Chris about what does it mean, like football related, coming out in front of Bryant-Denny Stadium, because I knew that the interview wasn't going to have much traction. But you're right, it was like the hydration. There was a lot of questions, a lot of thirsty reporters. We've gotten to that time where we're just like, we need to see a game. So bless their hearts, they do a good job. And you know, but it was a thirsty interview.
Thirsty beating interview. That's what it was.
What else you got, Steve?
The thing I got for you is that, I'm a big fan of Jalen Milroe. And do you see the option 3 coming back into Alabama?
No, it's kind of like, so where we are at is a modern day option, right? Like the run pass option. That's kind of like your modern day option. Those old options that we used to run, like back on NCAA football when you ran like the wishbone or the flex bone or, stuff out of the eye, like that's clearly, is not going to fly anymore. Remember, who knows this? Has anybody ever seen the single wing? Do you know what that is, Steve? Does anybody know what the single wing is?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the single wing is you don't necessarily have a quarterback, you have a spinner back. There's a team in New Mexico that has ran the single wing religiously, and they still do it. So you have a spinner back, and it's about like a pulling guard offensive system. It's super confusing, but I think in a world today, let me know in the comment box if you do know what the single wing is. I'm curious to know if you guys know that. But we're kind of like in the modern triple option in a sense, right? Run pass option. And I think Jalen can be effective because this is what I'm watching. On Saturday, I want to see if there's any deep balls taken. Holy shit. We just got a $200 super chat.
Oh, good job.
My goodness. Hell yeah. Elizabeth Reed, thank you so much. Wow. Thank you. Steve, I have to read this out. Let's roll Tide. Die hard Bama fan here, but TCU grad, live in Dallas, Texas. Texas fans think we will win, but they think I should always win. I don't think Arch did that well during spring game. No disrespect, but just hope Bama plays with old-fashioned confidence. Yeah, a lot of people. Well, first of all, thank you very much, Mr. Reed. I really appreciate it more than you know. I mean, my goodness, $200 super chat. It's the biggest super chat I've ever got. I've been doing this for 6 years. So thank you so much. I'm gonna leave this on the screen for a second. Steve, no disrespect, but I got to take care of Mr. Reed.
Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, look, I heard a lot of different things about the Manning, prospect in terms of, where he was at. They're hyping him up, and rightfully so. I get it. It's going to be exciting to watch, but Quinn definitely is the guy. They come in with a lot of momentum into the college football season. They're favored to win the Big 12. Coach Steve Sarkisian has done a great job rebuilding himself, rebuilding his brand. The other day, we talked a lot about kind of resetting, and he's done a great job resetting since he left from the University of Alabama. Left on a positive note, I thought, and he's doing a really good job with Texas. They come in as a 7-point underdog to Alabama, but their fans are really, really excited about it. So, I don't know. I appreciate it, Elizabeth, and I think it does come back down to that confidence factor. Like, go out there. You are the standard of college football. You are the measuring stick of college football. These guys are super excited for another opportunity to get Texas, especially at Bryant-Denny Stadium. And they read everything. They know everything. They know how Texas fans are feeling about it. So, yeah, that's kind of where things stand. Steve, back to you. And once again, thank you, Elizabeth. I'm going to leave that on the screen. Steve, but, as we're talking about, I think that, it's kind of the modern day option. I'm watching Jalen Milroe to see if there's any shots taken downfield. What is the accuracy of balls that are thrown 25 yards downfield? And anything underneath is going to be, has to be accurate, has to be precise, has to be out of the, defense's ability to create turnovers. And look, part of Jalen's game is to run. And there's nothing wrong with the running quarterback. I think a lot of people feel that if a quarterback runs, he should be a running back. No, in the modern era of college football, you have to have an athletic quarterback. So really excited to see what we can see on Saturday. What else you got for me, Steve?
I just think with the offensive line, if they are true in bringing their lunch pail to work on Saturdays, and they get enough push on that front line, it gives Jalen that opportunity to make the pass and also make the run if he needs to. I just want to see that force from the offensive line pushing that defensive line back.
Yeah, and like I said earlier in the show, I have a lot of confidence. Like when somebody straight up asks me that doesn't follow it like we do about Alabama, I started with the offensive line, 100%. And I was like, look, starts the offensive line, really confident about their overall game. Still am at this point. So, it definitely starts there. And I think the offensive line is going to come out and make a statement. I'm going to run to my next caller, Steve. Thank you very much for calling. Be safe when you're coming back to Op.
No problem,
we appreciate your support.
Yes, sir. I appreciate your show, and roll tide.
Roll tide to you, man. All right, we'll go right back to the phone lines. We got a 409. We'll take it right away. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, this is Mike, first-time caller from Galveston, Texas.
All right, is it Mike from Texas?
Yes, sir, from Galveston, Texas.
Galveston, Texas.
City, down south.
All right, man. Go ahead, Mike. Take it away, man. What's on your mind, Mike? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Take it away. Mike, I'm going to give you a shot because I know you're on the line a long time. What's on your mind, Mike?
Yes, sir. So I'm a Longhorn fan, first-time caller. I think the reason why Longhorn fans feel good about the game, it's one and the same as Milroe. We don't think he can beat us throwing the ball, and we don't think y'all have the outside weapons to take advantage of our secondary.
Yeah, well, thanks for calling.
Y'all have always, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike. No, finish out, man.
No, we were saying 2 years ago, y'all could just out-talent everybody, especially when Shark was the OC. We just don't feel like y'all can out-talent. Y'all have very good players. They're going to be NFL players, but y'all don't have 3 and 4 first-round wide receivers, first-round quarterback, and 2 first-round running backs. I think the O-line is going to be pretty good, which we take that. Our D-line is going to be pretty good, but we think at the end of the day, y'all don't have the outside weapons or the quarterback to beat us.
Yeah, that's a good point. And thanks for calling in, Mike. I really appreciate the perspective coming in from Galveston. When you look to this game, let me ask you something, Mike. do Texas fans feel that they would have beat Alabama if Quinn stays in that game last year for 4 quarters?
In my biased opinion, I think we do. And if they would have called it safety, I think we beat y'all too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a crazy play by Bryce, right? He's like throwing it like upside down or however he threw the ball. That was crazy. I felt that Steve Sarkisian. Yeah. Go ahead.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like we would have won if viewers didn't get hurt, or if they called the safety? How do you feel about that? I never asked a Bama fan that.
Yeah, I do. People get mad when I say that, but I mean, it's my opinion. I always tell the truth. Quinn, if Quinn plays for that game, the entirety, yeah, I think Texas wins that game. Alabama, and no disrespect to Texas, but 100% facts, Alabama played a terrible game. Texas is a good team last year, and they're going to be even better this year. It was difficult. The environment made it difficult for Alabama. The penalties, they were plagued with penalties last year in that game. And there was a lot of dropped passes. That's kind of when this whole dropped passes thing kind of started because it hadn't been like that ever at Alabama, right? Like no wide receivers, tight ends, drop passes. Last year against Texas, drop passes and a ton of penalties. And that was something that Alabama really couldn't shake off. The reason Texas didn't win that game was because Steve Sarkisian left too much time on the clock. I mean, you can't leave Bryce with like any time. And I get it from like your perspective. I mean, you guys are reading into the quarterback stuff and feeling like, there's not a quarterback that can compete at that level. You guys clearly know about Jalen Milroe. You guys know about Ty Simpson. And we know, Alabama fans know about the wide receivers and the quarterback. And I think that's going to be a great matchup is Alabama's secondary versus the wide receivers. What are you hearing about A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy? I mean, is it just that those two guys, along with your tight end, who's amazing, by the way, is that where you feel that they're going to have a big advantage in that game is just those wide receivers with the tight end and Quinn?
Yeah, we have 5 returning starters on the O-line, and we have DJ Campbell ended up taking one of the starters from last year's job. We felt like we pass protected really well against you guys. And, of course, Anderson's in the NFL now. Y'all have Turner. And I feel like our tackles will do real good against y'all's D-line. Young's not there no more. He was as a D tackle. Well, I went back and watched the Texas A&M game yesterday. He was a monster. And A.D. Mitchell, from reports that everything that I've seen is that he's looking better than Worthy has in fall camp so far. And then we have, of course, the tight end Sanders. And we also have a guy named Nair who came from Wyoming. He tore his ACL last year, who most people on most sites think if he would have been healthy, we would have won 2 more games because we just didn't have the weapons that Ewers needed. We tried to turn Worthy into a deep ball guy when that's not his game. And then they felt like we didn't use Sanders the way we needed to because we didn't have the wide receivers outside. So I feel like we'll be able to take, I guess we're going to try to pick on y'all's All-American freshman safety downs and see how he goes. But for everything I've heard, he looks like $1 million, and he's going to be probably first-team freshman All-American from everything that we're hearing on the Texas side.
Yeah, no, that's Caleb Downs. Yeah, I really like the play of Sanders. That guy is such a baller. I watched a lot of his tape last year and this year. I mean, the guy is such a tremendous athlete. Yeah, I mean, look, there's no doubt about it that Texas comes in with a lot of momentum. On the defensive side, let me ask you this. When you're going up against Alabama, what do you guys return on defense? And how do you feel about, kind of the way that last year ended on that last field goal? I mean, you have Jace who returns at running back. He had a big run against you guys, right? Busted out a big run. He is expected to be Alabama's featured back along with Roydell Williams. But in the secondary, do you guys feel that, on defense that you guys have enough to stop whatever Alabama's bringing? And that's the confusing thing is we don't know like Alabama's offensive identity. So I guess that's a tough question.
Yeah, we lost 2 D tackles to the draft, and I feel like the 2 D tackles that's playing this year, if you look at Pro Football Focus, they were more disruptive, and they were just better players, but the 2 guys were older than them. We returned, our DN. We lost our other DN to LSU, but we basically, let him leave because we have a better player. In 2 years, I think he had a sack and a half. His name is Ovu. I think he's going to be starting for LSU, which is kind of crazy. We feel like our secondary is the second most talented position on our team, but minus wide receivers. And I just think that, with we have an All-American linebacker and forward, and then we have a 5-star freshman in Hill that I think Alabama recruited for a little while that we ended up stealing from Texas A&M. I just know I've been a Texas fan for a very long time, and this is the most hype, and I believe in it. I haven't believed in it the last 7 years, but this is the most hype that I've seen since 2009. And I feel like we really have a shot to beat y'all guys in Alabama. I know it might not sound right because we've been down for a while, but I really feel like we have a good shot at beating y'all guys, week 2.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Got another $100 super chat in here from Miss Reed, so let me take care of her real quick. I know this question has probably been answered, so don't spend too much time, but do you think this coming season will be the Alabama defense of the old? We can make up for a slower offense, ? Yeah, I think that's what people want to see is the Alabama defense of old. I mean, Kevin Steele comes in, 6 to 7 years old, and one of the best sound bites when he was talking about the Alabama defense was Coach Saban, the conversation was 5 minutes. Coach Saban's like, you understand what's expected here? And Kevin Steele said, yes. And this is an opportunity, when you get called up to coach for Coach Saban again, you take it. And he said the Bama defense hasn't gone anywhere. That's standard. He just said that college football has changed on the offensive side, which I totally get. Look, there's no harm in having this excitement, Mike, for your team, because I don't necessarily think it is hype in any way. I believe Texas is going to be better than last year. And I think they are favored to win the Big 12. And I think the way that their schedule sets up, let's say that they do beat Alabama, if they can avoid a late season trap game against Iowa State, there's no doubt about it that Texas makes a run to make the playoffs. And they could very well see Alabama again. I'm excited about this matchup. Everyone's excited. I do have respect for Coach Sark, running the program. The offense has always been really good. I feel that he's the best offensive coordinator that Alabama had after Lane Kiffin, and he did such a great job here with the Crimson Tide. Anything else, Mike, while we have you on the line?
Yeah, quick question. Is Turner a better player than Anderson, in your opinion?
No, but he's not far off, man, honestly. So I was talking to someone who's very, very close to the program, and this was a couple years ago, and they were like, Dallas Turner will also be a top 10, if not a top 5 pick. And I was like, and I knew he was really good, but to hear that early, and that was from a couple years ago, look, William Anderson, I think is good. It's going to be tough to surpass William Anderson. I don't know if he has that athleticism that Anderson has, but he's not too far behind, which is crazy. And you don't throw away that lightly because he was just a number 3 pick in the NFL draft. And you see what William Anderson's doing now in the NFL. He's already crushing it. But Dallas Turner is 100% the truth. Kool-Aid, the truth. He'll get an opportunity to prove that, soon enough. But yeah, Dallas Turner is absolutely 100% the real deal.
Do you feel like y'all's pass rushers are going to be better than last year?
That's a good question. I don't know, man. I don't know. It comes down to, I guess it comes down to what Chris Broswell can do. So you have Chris Broswell, I'm not going to say the jury's still out on him. No, Chris is on the other outside. So your 2 inside linebackers for Alabama, you have Deontay Lawson. He'll be your signal caller. And then next to him is Tresman Marshall, who is a transfer in from Georgia. And then along kind of next to him, kind of like 1B is Jahad Campbell, but there's no depth chart out here. But yeah, those are your inside backers. Cool. Mike, thank you so much for calling in, man. Call in again next time. We'll continue to talk Alabama, Texas, and be safe. Enjoy the rest of your night, man, and call in again.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right, Mike calling in from Galveston. Jonathan with the super chat, man. I appreciate you, John. Man, thank you so much. Roll Tide roll. I think Alabama will be just fine in the Texas game. Home environment, night game. Bill and Pete are both gone, and the GOAT is on the sideline. That's just it, right? Yeah, thank you so much, Jonathan. I appreciate you, man. All right. Last 2 calls, and then we out. 337 and a 559. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where you calling in from?
This is David. I'm stuck next to Texas over here too, from Louisiana. I'm in both of those. Whatever you want to call them, anyway.
David,
But,
thanks
yeah,
for
he's
calling
right.
in, man.
He's right. We don't have everything that Texas has. You know, we actually have more than they have. We've got like what, 5, possibly first round running backs. You know, possibly. You know, we have what, 4 or 5 that can possibly be in the first round quarterbacks. We've got some good transfers that's come in. We got some good tight ends. We got a very good secondary that can possibly compete with anybody, even the weakest NFL team possibly on passing. But, you know, earlier you was talking about the drop passes. I looked it up. Per Pro Football Focus, Alabama had 23 drop passes out of 438 attempts last year, which is not as good as what we're accustomed to, especially when we had Devontae Smith and, you know, all those other guys that played with us. You know, Texas is ranked 3rd in the conference with returning production. 3rd in their conference. That ain't impressive to me. That ain't impressive to me at all. Don't get me wrong, Quinn Ewers is going to be a good quarterback no matter what. Even if he was a transfer to somewhere else, he's going to be a starting quarterback. He's good. He's got a strong arm. If he wouldn't have got hurt last year, I agree with you. The dude was throwing bombs all over us last year. And it could have been a bad situation. Things didn't work out for him, unfortunately, but he's returning this year. He's coming to Titletown, USA. And our record at Titletown, USA is 95 wins, 8 losses since 2007 under the coach, the greatest coach of all time. And don't forget that if you're listening, Georgia fans or whoever else is in on the queue down below, type in your little stuff, talk all you smack, but we know who the GOAT is. We know who the greatest team in college football is, and we'll go down as. But with that being said, I predict this game coming up Saturday, if I was the head coach, if Coach Saban allows them to play like they're talking about, let the defense run the way they want to, and hold themselves accountable, if he pulls the reins back, it's going to be a bloodbath. If I was the head coach, I would just say, go out, destroy them, make a statement, try to score 4 touchdowns per quarter if possible. I don't care. It'd be with extra points, it'd be 112, possibly to maybe 3 or 0. I would run it up, make a statement. I know it is what it is, but anyways, I'm just excited about this weekend. I'm excited to see what Alabama's going to do this year. I honestly believe with the mindset, and if they can find their identity like everybody keeps saying, and they get into this beast mode, you know, it's kind of like taking a tiger and throwing it in a cage with another tiger, and they're both males, and then you throw a third tiger in there, it's a female. The strongest of the two is going to win and is going to breed with that other one. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of mindset they got to have. They got to have that mindset of, I'm the top dog, or the top elephant, should I say, because there ain't nothing in the world that can whoop an elephant in the wild. Honestly, I ain't never seen a lion or tiger kill an elephant, but they just die of old age. But they're the king of the jungle, in my opinion. And that's the way Alabama needs to think. They need to think of, we are the king of college football. Put your foot down, put your cleats in the ground, and run over whoever and destroy whoever they compete against this year, and bring back the national championship and the SEC championship back to Titletown where it belongs and where it should have never left in the first place. But anyways, with that being said, I ramble on. I can talk all night long. I know it's getting late. God bless. God bless the United States of America. Y'all have a great night.
All right. Good night. I appreciate you calling in, Dave. You know what? I was watching, he brought up about the elephant being the king, right? So the other night I was watching this animal show, and all these animals are down by the water. And there was the lions that were down there, and there was the elephants, and everybody was kind of just like knew their space. And then you know who rolled up and who ended up being like the main alpha was a hippo. I'm serious. The hippo came and the elephant took off, and so did the lion. So I don't know. Elizabeth, my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm going to have to write you a poem or something like that. Like, this is just too good. Another 200 spot. Honestly, on the real, you just paid for my trip to South Florida, to Tampa. Honestly, you did. Like, I just booked my stuff today, so you just helped me get down there. I'm by myself. I'm not backed by any sort of big business. This is what I do for a living. So you literally just took care of me in terms of going to South Florida. So thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. Yeah, this might be the Elizabeth Reed studio. So someone said that in the comment box. So this is it. So you are certainly, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We got a 559. This will be our last caller of the night. Let's take it away. Hey, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
What's up, Kyle? My name's Christopher. I'm from California.
Hey, Chris. Thank you very much for calling in, man. We appreciate you calling in from the West Coast. What's on your mind, man?
Well, do you want to talk about, how about we talk about the freshmen?
Let's do it.
All right, who are some freshmen besides like Caleb Downs? Because we know the hype around him is real, and we know he's gonna be a baller. So, who are some of your like maybe freshmen who are on the quiet side who could really make an impact?
That's a really good question. So when I look to Alabama's the class of 2024 or the class of 2023, I'm sorry. There's a good list of guys that could definitely stand out and potentially make an impact. I think the guys that come to mind are probably Keon Keeley. He's an outside linebacker at the University of Alabama, has a ton of athleticism. I would be curious to see if he can play sooner than later. 6'5", 242 pounds, a consensus 5-star. Yanzi Pierre is probably not too far behind, to be honest, which is amazing that Alabama has 2 5-stars waiting in line to jump up there when Dallas exits the program. I hear that Jalen Hell has, kind of been there. He's a freshman wide receiver. How about this name? Quay Russo. He's out of Montgomery. I mean, honestly, really excited about him too. I don't think we've talked about that guy at all. I was watching some highlights of him even at fall camp. He looks really, really good. So that could be another guy. Of course, we've talked about Dylan Lonergan. How about this name? How about Tony Mitchell? Look, he obviously in the doghouse for obvious reasons, but still working hard, still right there. He's a guy, I don't know when we'll see him step on the field. I probably, assume that Coach Saban is still monitoring his behavior, but them kind of releasing a photo to us kind of tells me that he's on the right track and he's doing what he needs to do within the program. I would say Jaron Hamilton, I think he might be one of the fastest players on the team. Believe he's out of Florida. So those are some other guys that I think, maybe even like a Brayson Hubbard. So there's some freshmen that are certainly going to get on the field. But, you have 2 starters, absolutely. And, of course, Justice Haynes, who scored 3 touchdowns, which is crazy during the spring game. So, the freshmen are there. And, but I would say it would probably be Keon Keeley, I would assume. That would be the next to get on after Justice Haynes. So if I was to say the players to get reps after Caden and Caleb, I would say Keon and Justice Haynes. What else, man?
Yeah, back to a name you mentioned, Jalen Hale. I was looking at some practice footage, and man, he's got great hands.
Yeah, he does, honestly. I think he really does. And I think that, but I don't know, because there's so many guys in that wide receiver room that they're going to get opportunities. Yeah, right. So, but here's the thing. Just because you don't get on the field in terms of the position, your receiver position, special teams. Roydell Williams was just this is a great interview. He talked about getting on the field in special teams, whether that's punt coverage, kickoff return. go out there and get onto the field. And sometimes as a freshman or a sophomore, whatever, you have to get on the field. You know who was a special teams weapon until he got a starting spot was Jalen Moody. Remember Jalen Moody?
Yeah.
He was like all over special teams. He just waited, and finally he got his opportunity to start. But you got to get special teams. But you're right. I think he does have some really good hands. So, I mean, plenty of young guys coming in. And then, of course, you know, we're all excited about Julian Sane. I mean, out in your neck of the woods, California, I mean, he's been lighting it up. The guy is like these highlights from this last game. My goodness, he's exceptional.
He's got some wheels.
I know. The guy's a baller. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Sane. He looks so good. Elite 11 MVP, which is just awesome.
Yep.
That's a great name for him.
Anything else, Chris?
Why don't we real quickly let's thoughts on what like big receivers you think are going to make an impact this year?
Well, first of all, where are you at in California?
Central Valley, Fresno, California.
All right, Fresno. Yeah, the Valley. A lot of people don't know that's
Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know that's why like Fresno has the V, like the Valley. You know what I'm saying? On their helmets.
Yeah.
But I used to live up in Redondo Beach, so I was in SoCal and lived in Los Angeles. Used to work in Torrance, and I worked for the Elite 11. So I worked for the Elite 11. And I would travel all over the country. And Brian Stumpf, who is the executive director of the Elite 11, he was my boss. And he instilled the work ethic in me that I still try to exemplify today. Brian Stumpf, if you're out there, man, I try to model my game after you. He was the first one in the office and the last one to leave. He runs the Elite 11. So when I was like under him, so I would go and do everything that he needed. I would do it, whether he needed me to sweep the floors or whatever. When in fact, the reason I got into this is because I wanted to be a high school football coach. And then I wanted to like get up to that level and start working with the Nike football training camp. So I emailed him and he was like, come out here. And I started covering softball. But I started grinding so much that they gave me a key to the office. And then I worked my way onto the football field. And then I started my own website and then started doing video and then kind of took off to what you see now. So that's my thing about the Elite 11. So I have great respect for the Elite 11 organization. To see Julian Sane win the MVP, I think that speaks volumes of him. Other wide receivers that I think could contribute this year, I love all the sophomores: Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, Kendrick Law, Emmanuel Henderson. I think those guys are certainly going to shine. I'd love to see Isaiah Bond have a big year. Kobe Prentice was Mr. Dependable last year. Believe in Malik Benson, Ja'Cory Brooks. I mean, the guy is clutch. We don't talk enough about him. And how about Jermaine Burton? This is another opportunity for him to go out there, block out the noise. And I mean, what did he catch for 9 touchdowns last year, something like that for Alabama. So people are hard on him. They really haven't taken him in, but this is a good opportunity for him to step up and kind of, earn some positive praise from the fan base.
Yeah, I think Ja'Cory Brooks kind of earned that respect as that wide receiver one. But I mean, the end of last year, those last 4 games, Jermaine Burton just took his game to a whole nother level.
Yeah, like in the Sugar Bowl, like if you watch the Sugar Bowl, he played really well. He did.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, Chris. Well,
some really nice contested catches.
He did. No, 100%. Chris, we're gonna end the show there, man. But I appreciate you calling in. Thank you so much for calling from out in California. Call in anytime. I got a spot for you, man.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. Keep up the great videos, man. I love them.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Okay, this is gonna be my last call because you've been waiting for 9 minutes, but this is it. We're saying goodnight after this, fam. We're going to bed. All right, 228. We start right now. Hey, what's up? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where you calling in from?
It's Mitch from Mississippi.
Did you say Mitch?
Yes, sir. Mitch from Mississippi.
All right, man. Take us to bed, man. What's up, Mitch?
Well, I was originally calling with a comment, but now I'm just wondering if I could use your platform to drop my Cash App on Miss Reed. That's that's some pretty good blessings you got going there, brother. My wife and I, we're trying to plan us a trip to the Chattanooga game, so I figured, hey. But no, real quick, I know you pushed your time. Also, I'm wondering if there is any way possible, I mean this with all due respect, but Mike from Galveston or wherever it was, is there any way that we could take that call and keep it, and after the Texas game, win or lose, replay it? And either give him his moment of glory, or let him hear how crazy that sounded. Because I think that man just called in and said that Texas has more talent than Alabama, and that they're going to beat us. And I mean, we got to play the game to see what happens. So we will see they are talented. But and if they beat us, you can replay my call. I'll eat it. But I just thought that was crazy. I've never heard anyone call in to a Bama show and say that.
And that's why I said that made that Dear Alabama video. Because look, like, we're in our little ecosystem and people are like, that's not what all people think, Kyle. Yeah, step out of Alabama, go in other markets. Nobody believes in Alabama like they used to, I promise you. Like, when I was at the SEC Media Day, it was shocking to see, like, Alabama was normalized. It was really weird. Like, they were like, oh, Alabama's like, they're coming in too. Like, no, this wasn't like, everything is usually Alabama. No, it wasn't. They were normalized. And I think in Florida, I think in Georgia, I think in Tennessee, I think in Louisiana, and I think in the Midwest, I think in the West Coast, everywhere else, I think they're starting to see Alabama as vulnerable. I 100% believe that.
Yeah, and hence all the smiles you're seeing on Nick Saban's face.
Yes,
that's great. I'm glad everyone's thinking that. And real quick, I don't even want to say his name. Everybody knows he graduated. The big analyst, graduated from Tennessee, got the big ears, moved on to ESPN. I heard him today talking about Saban, how Saban's bullying the media. And that just I'm like, bullying the media because we're not releasing a depth chart and not giving them the information. I mean, what he's doing is protecting his players, is what he's doing. He's protecting his players from the media. Mm-hmm. And if to me, like, if you just do your job, that's what he's saying, do your job. Study everybody on the team. And then when whoever comes out there on the field, know who you're talking about and what you're saying about them. Don't rely on us just to give you, everything, and just so you can be ready to build them up and then knock them down and kill them when they don't, live up to all these big things they say about them. But I know you got to go, man. I'm glad you let me get through. I did want to make that misread comment there. I think that's awesome. But anyway, looking forward to the game. Roll Tide. Appreciate you letting me get through, and we'll talk to you next week.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, that was a good call to end on. Really appreciate you guys joining me tonight. Okay, so you guys have said it, so I think you guys are right. Coming to you from the Elizabeth Reed studio in beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson and Bama Football on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. I appreciate you guys calling in tonight. I appreciate you guys' support. Miss Reed, honestly, thank you so much. I've never, ever had any type of super chats like this. You hit me with 200, 100, 200. So thank you so much. And, of course, thanks to Jonathan, David, and Gerald in there as well. But this is the Miss Reed studio for the rest of the season. So coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Plenty of calls. We'll put the timestamps inside the comment box so you can go check it out. Stay tuned for more coverage leading up to Alabama's first game of the season, taking on Middle Tennessee this Saturday from beautiful Bryant-Denny Stadium. My name is Kyle Henderson. Have a good night. Enjoy yourselves. Be good people. And we'll catch up with you soon right here on Bama Football on YouTube.